I do want to open the floor up, and Dave, what you were just talking about a few minutes ago can come under that as well, okay? Town manager update.
Great. So I'm going to give a preliminary year-end finance report. There's still movement in FY23. The auditors will complete their report, and they may request changes. Invoices from vendors may still trickle in. So for services for last month, for example, that we generally receive invoices the following month. So those may still, I captured as many of them as I knew about and talked to all the department heads, but there may still be a couple of small lingering invoices that will trickle in. General fund revenues are currently at 98%, and that's $23,000 less than we anticipated. General fund expenses are at 97%, or $51,000 less than anticipated. So at this time, the net revenue expense in the general fund is a positive $28,540. The auditors could make an adjustment. Steve and I were talking about that would be in the ballpark of $21,000, which would still leave us with a net of 8, and that's what we projected in the last finance report. But we do not know until the auditors confirm that the move that we made was correct or denies it. And at that time, we'd pull the $21,000 back in. Highway fund revenues are at 102%, or $18,700 more than anticipated. This is due to higher payments from the state than expected. Expenses are at 98%, or $20,000 less than anticipated. Net revenue expense in the highway fund is a positive $39,591. And I'm very confident that we captured all of the larger expenses. There may be a few $15 or $20 things that come in, but I think that's really, really close. Same thing with solid waste fund revenues and expenses. Revenues are at 108%, or $22,000 more than expected. Solid waste fund expenses are at 116%, or $26,000 more than anticipated. Net revenue expense in the solid waste fund is a negative $26,100. Our fixed revenue expenses, which are our permit stickers, they ended the year right where they should have, a little bit of a positive of $1,066. It's our variable expenses and revenues that continue to be an issue, and ended the year in a net negative $26,100. So that's where I'm at on the 3 funds. Site examination, just another reminder, the select board has been warned to meet at 381 East Cooks Pond Road in Weathersfield this Thursday, July 13th, to become familiar with highway number 95 prior to the public hearing, which is scheduled for this upcoming Monday at 6:30 p.m. Storm update. Upper Falls Road has been measured, photographed, and repaired. The road is reopened. We will be submitting the expenses to promote emergency management for reimbursement. Upper Falls Bridge has been inspected and deemed safe for travel. The riprap did its job, but most of it has been washed away and needs to be replaced. It's well documented and photographed and will be submitted for reimbursement to promote emergency management. The Ascutney Basin Bridge will need to be replaced. We received the grant last year for engineering and design. This is something that's been going on since Irene, and they didn't want to replace it at that time because we didn't have the bridge design, according to Ray. So we did get a grant to redesign that bridge, and that redesign was completed on Friday. So we're just waiting. Yeah, we're just waiting for the permit, and we'll be submitting this to Vermont Emergency for reimbursement, the bridge in total. And if that doesn't go through, then we do have another avenue for construction money to replace the bridge. Ascutney Basin Road has damage on both sides of the bridge and is currently being repaired. Little Ascutney Road continues to be closed. When it dries out, the highway department will regrade it. The damage on that road isn't significant enough to request reimbursement. Anything? Okay. And that's my update for today.
Who's repairing the Ascutney Basin Road?
That would be Tim Sargent.
It's West Windsor?
Oh, West Windsor is also helping, yes. West Windsor is, their highway crew has helped today from the West Windsor line down to the bridge. And they contacted Ray and just said that they were gonna help doing that, and they offered the help, so we took it. And I did contact the chair and thank them for helping out.
Any questions from anybody on the board? Go, Dave.
I think you should check with Miller Construction, because I don't know if they inserted 2 I-beams after Irene underneath the Scottney Basin Bridge, or whether they did something, as I recall. So I don't think that's empty.
Okay,
I don't.
and that was after Irene, Dave?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if they slid into used I-beams. I think there was something happening there, because the same thing happened in 2011.
Okay.
That's gonna be a problem, because they probably, I don't know, if you just said you're gonna look at replacing that bridge, then there's gonna have to be a temporary bridge, because there's quite a few residents up there, and the cutoff is a very small covered bridge on the other end of Churchill Road, and that might not work so well, so.
Yeah, and Ray was talking about that today too, some kind of temporary arrangement.
I don't know.
The thing that jumps out to me is 2 storms, 2 events that have damaged the bridge. You build a new one and have another event and destroy another one.
I would look
Is there something
back.
else that has to change there?
Well, I would look back to see whatever the records were in 2011, because that happened, the same kind of thing happened. So it's got to do with the capacity of the Branch Brook, and A&R and Natural Resources don't want anybody to do anything to rivers, and they fill up with trees and other things, and then when these larger water events, the capacity shrinks. They don't change much. The town's job is to try to get it. I don't even know that 2 lanes can go across that bridge right now. I don't think it's 20 feet wide. I don't know.
Okay.
Any other questions from anybody? Go ahead.
The auditors, besides the financial stuff, is there anything that they're finding or anything that they've gotten concerns with?
I mean, they have concerns, but we addressed all of them before June 30th,
Okay.
so.
So we're all set with that. Set fiscal year 24 property tax rate. Brandon?
All right, so our total listed value increased from 345,492,000 to 346,685,000 in FY '24. The total increase was $1,192,743, or 0.34%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. GMP utility went down by 990,000. Velco went down by 826,000. We added 3 million from permit work. There was a $250,000 loss as compared to last year's personal property inventory, but a few had an increase in their overall inventory, so the personal property nets out to an increase of 80,000. The homestead tax rate decreased from 1.7941 in FY '23 to 1.6646 in FY '24. The non-homestead tax rate increased from 1.6680 in FY '23 to 1.7179 in FY '24. Last year, each penny on the grand list was $33,189, and that has increased to $34,333. The municipal tax rate in FY '23 was 0.6269, and the municipal tax rate in FY '24 is proposed to be 0.6843, or 0.0574 higher than FY '23, which is a 9.2% increase, and this is less than we estimated when we proposed the budget at town meeting. We estimated 0.0717 at that time, and it came down at 0.0574. Additionally, when we estimated the municipal tax rate in FY '24 based on the FY '23 grand list, we estimated a $72 increase in municipal taxes on a $100,000 house without education taxes. The increase on a $100,000 house based on the updated grand list is $57, of course, without education taxes. Local education taxes have increased. Last year there were 19 homestead and 10 non-homestead exemptions. This year there are 32 homestead and 7 non-homestead exemptions. And then on the next page is the computation.
Dave's got a question.
I'm sorry, Dave. I was processing. Go ahead.
The reason why I said thank you and interrupted you, because Brandon and I was on the phone today, and I asked him, because I didn't receive this I didn't look at it in the email because I was too busy, and he said he sent it, that's fine. He said it was, the grand list was up 3.4%, and I asked him to do the math. And I said, no, and then he said 0.34. So I said, thank you.
I forgot a zero, I'm
And
sorry.
so in the fourth paragraph, your examples are based on the homestead, right? So it doesn't say that, but it is. So when we went through the budget process, the grand list rose X amount, which we can never calculate. And so that's why it's down a little. But that fourth paragraph example you used is for homestead, not non-homestead, right?
That is right, yep.
Yeah, okay. I suggest when you said in black here to make the tax rate this amount, I suggest that we read off on page 4, they're not marked, but it's the fourth page, because when you open up your tax bill, these have to be exact, so in the third column down, it gives a breakdown. I think we should do it that way, so, somebody needs to make a motion that for the general fund, county tax, highway fund, everything, because that's the way they're listed on our tax bill, the breakdowns. So I don't think we should be making a motion that says, set the tax rate at 0.6843. I think for the minutes, and I think we should make that motion real specific to those that's on our sheet.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, then
I'm okay with it.
I'll make a motion that we set the FY24 property tax rates as the following. General fund, 0.3809. County, that must be the Windsor County tax, right?
Yeah, that's our bonding courthouse
Yep.
payments.
At 0.0076. So what would be the general fund special articles?
That was that one appropriation that requested to be increased from, I believe, 400 to 1,000. So that's just one. The policy requires us to put it on a special article at town meeting.
How would you identify that, though, on our tax bill? Would it be, for if you're a member of the public and you're looking at your tax bill and you saw GF special articles, is that really what we've done in the past? Or not?
We usually label it as special articles or appropriations. But we can be specific since it's only one this year. It
I
can
don't
be
know,
specific
it
to
looked a
that
little strange to me.
appropriation.
Don't we typically do that as part of the general fund, though?
Not when they're over a certain amount for the first time that they receive it. So it's listed out especially as a special article.
Okay.
And when we
Yeah.
calculate the
What do
general
they
fund
call
budget,
those? I don't,
Appropriations. We do it as appropriations in the general fund.
yeah, but isn't there a name that we kind of designate all of those? The name escapes me right now. Didn't we take that, I know, the visiting nurses, those are all
It's
part of that
typically the
package.
nonprofit appropriations, yeah.
Okay, nonprofits.
Yeah.
But I don't think this one's not a nonprofit.
Yeah, they're not all
No,
nonprofits.
I don't think this particular one's nonprofit.
So I can,
Most of them are.
I can tell you which one it is. It's Volunteers in Action.
Oh, maybe it is.
That's the one that requested an increase and that was approved at town meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And because of that, and it wasn't included in the general fund, you can't predict if it'll get approved or not. That's why it's separated out. Usually that number is 22,000. So,
Excuse me, what if we put, the article in parentheses beside it? Like you've got GF special articles, put in parentheses what that article was last year that the people voted on.
just the article number or the?
Yeah, just the article
I
number.
can do that.
Then they could, doesn't that, then they could, everybody's got a reference back to what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
Um,
so general fund special article at 0.0003. Highway fund FY24 tax rate at 0.2755. I'm just continuing on with the motion, okay, Nicole? Local education FY '24 tax set at .0083, and the highway separate article, there isn't any, okay, so we don't even need to do that, so take that right off of me. I don't wanna say something that's zero.
Yep.
And the fire department special article, and was that worded to be in the reserve account for wheels, or was that for, equipment other than
Let me take a
motorized?
peek at that real quick.
And I would do the same for any articles, just put that in parentheses, put the
Right.
article number.
Okay.
They know what they voted or didn't vote on, and here's the tax rate.
If they
want
call,
on
what
it.
is this, all you can do is say, go look at your town report.
That's a good idea, Dave.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I think, my guess is it's wheels with $40,000.
Believe it is. Let me just look at the warning real quick. Deposit into the fire apparatus acquisition reserve fund.
Yeah. At .0117, for a total, municipal tax rate of .6843.
Motion's been made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, any further discussion on the motion? All set, Brendan, on what to do there? Everybody's good? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The fiscal year municipal tax rate total is .6843. Fiscal year '24 property tax due dates. The proposed quarterly tax payment due dates are as follows: August 16th, November 15th, those are both in 2023, February 15th, and May 15th of 2024. Do I hear a motion to set those?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Yep, second.
Motion's been made and seconded to set the dates as proposed. August 16th, 2023, November 15th, 2023, February 15th, 2024, May 15th, 2024. Any further discussion on the motion? Yes.
Do you have a date where the tax bills are gonna be received by the residents? Is it like 30 days before the first due date, or any idea on that?
Yeah, it's 30 days before the first due date.
So they'll be printed next week or later this week?
Yeah, they'll be printed and sent out this week with doolittles.
Dave, did you have a, no? Okay, Lisa?
I should have asked this question on the other motion, I think. I was just, and maybe I can ask it on the other business. I was just wondering if you knew what the school tax rate was, so you know the overall impact.
We do.
I should have asked that before, sorry.
I don't. Dave, you know what it is?
Yeah, because the homestead, that's what it is. For the homestead, it's gonna be $1.66, which Brandon outlined here. That is the school tax rate.
Right.
Last year, it was $1.79. It's 13 cents lower. But for non-homestead, which hits me, on 3 properties that have no buildings, that have paid school tax for years and not sent a child to school, we'll add all that in a hurry, I go up on the non-homestead, and I have no idea why. All they do is make hay, from $1.66.8, so $1.67 to $1.72. So I've asked that question before, why a resident who's been here for like ever has to pay non-homestead. I don't have any buildings on it, they're just fields. It sounds really strange. I guess that it was made for non-residents who have a second home or something like that here, because that's what they pay the non-homestead tax on. So, I mean, when we did all these budgets, we knew from John came in and kept us up to speed on what the tax rate was doing for the school, because he was on the education committee at the time. For some reason, the state decided to pour more money into education. What's very strange about this whole thing is our CLA has fallen to 81, and now the school's tax rate has fallen 13 cents. But we've been trying to get our arms around all about, everybody's been screaming bloody murder, reappraise, reappraise, reappraise. And apparently which I got sent the formula, and everybody says it's difficult to follow. There's no formula that's difficult to follow. There's only the people that say that to you that are difficult to follow.
And not everybody wants reappraisal, it's the school people want reappraisal.
Well,
Most residents don't want that.
let's not venture too far down this rabbit hole. We do have a motion on the floor, and that motion is, to set
set the
the
dates.
dates.
Yep, so we have a motion and a second, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm fine with having this discussion, but
I should have asked it at the motion before that, sorry.
it's okay.
Can I add one more sentence?
Yes.
The net effect, though, the town went up, but not as much as what was promoted at the March vote. Okay, because no one really knew what the grand list was at the time. So the grand list went up 1/3 of a point instead of a point. Normally, under normal years, the grand list is expected to go about 1% a year, just on normal growth. And things that,
0.1%.
no, one,
Oh, okay.
a full
Oh, that's
percent.
right, because it's 0.01.
right, it's a full.
Yeah, 1%.
But if you add, somebody builds a couple new homes and there's always something going on. So, the school went down 13 cents, the town went up 7 cents. So a homestead person in this town, the taxes are going down. It's that easy.
It is. Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The dates are set as was declared. Next is vote to set transfer station rates. Need a motion to set the fiscal year 24 permit sticker fee at $50. This is the one that comes out with the tax bills and goes on your car. Do I hear that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the sticker fee? Lisa?
Was there like a policy adopted with the discussion over the last few years about extra stickers and how you can prove to get an extra sticker and the cost of extra stickers? Is that in writing somewhere for people that have multiple vehicles?
First extra sticker's free. Come to the town office, you can get it. Doesn't cost anything. And then after that, there's a fee schedule, correct?
Yeah, it's $50 a sticker afterwards.
After that.
So two stickers per household basically, or whatever, and
Yeah.
then there's a fee. Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and a replacement is also 50? If you, let's say you've gotten your two,
Then anything after 2 in a fiscal year, you have to pay $50.
okay. Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of setting this permit sticker fee $50, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote to set fiscal year 24 punch ticket fee at $4.25 per punch.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made, do I hear a second?
Yes.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on the punch ticket fee?
That's the same as it's been for a little while now.
Yes, that's the change, the last change we made. And that is working, Brendan? We didn't have much this year.
It's too early to tell.
Yeah, but we didn't have a whole year of it, so.
No, we didn't.
But the
Yeah.
revenue from the punch tickets is up like $1,000 right now from estimated, right? From your,
That is fixed revenue and expense. The variable revenue expense is down into a negative 26,000.
Let me ask the question this way. Did we see a drop in the purchase of these tickets since we made that change?
No,
Okay. Then it's obviously up.
yeah, but
end the year
So isn't
in
the
a net
cost.
positive of $1,066 permit stickers. Ended the year in net positive.
those are permit stickers, so that's a sticker you put on your car.
That's the first one.
Oh, not the
That's
punches.
the other one.
yeah,
Variable revenues and expenses are the ones that fluctuate.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm still on the first motion I made. My
Without
fault.
a scale, you can't
No, you're right.
get
you're right,
precisely the,
You're right. Sorry,
But if we raised the fee and we didn't see a drop in sales,
sorry.
then you can assume that there's an increase in revenue.
oh, there's absolutely an increase in revenue.
Yeah.
There's an increase in expense,
Right.
so.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, set the ticket fee at 4.25 cents per punch, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And that pretty much wraps up that. We are at any other business. Dave, do you want to start with what you were talking about earlier? I just wanted to touch a little bit on the state of emergency we just went through.
I can't remember what I was talking about.
You were talking about the town, about the fact that half the time the SAPA and everything else doesn't work.
Oh,
and-
yeah,
Communications.
yeah, communication.
So,
Yeah, I mean, but when I talked to Todd Hittinger the next morning and told him that I tried to get online the meeting, I told him it was muffled, and he told me that he had heard that other people had said the same thing. I don't know if it was a storm or whatever the reason is, but I've sat in these meetings long enough to know that we seem to have a lot of difficulty, and I don't know what the answer is other than just, have the. There's an assumption when the opportunity presents itself that you can be online, which is warned by the town, that you're gonna be able to participate. And you can't. That's not a good picture. So, the town is warning the meeting, saying, we offer the Zoom meetings, you're gonna be able to communicate, you can stay home or you don't have to make it on time, whatever. So when the block comes up for any reason, then that's
so let's remove it.
not participating. I mean, we ran into this problem with SAPA before, when something happened with echoes or something happened here, and, I don't know.
The meeting you're specifically talking about wasn't the last planning commission of yesterday, it was the one from before. But we've had multiple select board meetings, planning commission meetings. I don't know about the other meetings, but, so, I guess the only way to fix it is to not warn it that way. Would you not warn it and then still have it available? And since it's not warned, then you don't have to guarantee it, and if it goes out, you don't have to stop a meeting? Because from running a meeting, it's much easier if I don't have to worry about online stuff.
We could remove it and still offer it, or we could put a disclaimer. And like I said, we have, we've looked at a couple of options, and people are coming out here to see what we can do, not only for all the cords, but also to improve the system. You guys are right, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and the technology, it's really unpredictable.
So instead of listening to multiple complaints time after time after time, I think you can fix that by just not offering it.
I don't know, I mean, I prefer to be here, but I also like the idea of having it. Unfortunately, it should work better than it does. Being involved with sound production to the level I am, I know that it's capable. You're capable of getting
Well, the
there.
internet in town is not the best, which we know. So we're already set up to fail that way.
Well, and that could be where some of it is. I mean, it may not all be on our end.
Yeah, absolutely, but we're
And-
still gonna hear about it.
But that's where, but we can do I'd like to leave it in the town manager's hands at this point in time. He's got people coming in that are gonna, wave a magic wand, I guess. I shouldn't say it like that. I don't wanna be rude, but, they're gonna evaluate things and.
So what should we do then? We should start a meeting then, cause you're gonna keep it and try to get it better, but we'll start a meeting.
I'm thinking of so this is a system that we bought at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic that we only spent like $500 or $600 on. So I don't think this system was supposed, to be used this long. And it was a system that came out. It's like Gen 1 at this point. So I think we need to look into our options and potentially, but then again, you can't control the Wi-Fi issue.
Right, so my
There's a
thing is,
Wi-Fi issue, it's,
if from running a meeting and being a chair, at least on the planning commission, where I hear a lot that nobody can get on, nobody can hear, I can't do this. I'll start the meeting, I'll see everybody that's online, I'll try to talk to them. If they cannot communicate, cannot hear good, we'll have the meeting.
We can.
another factor, sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off. Another factor,
Okay, you go.
another factor we have to consider is we can't control issues with technology on users' ends either. Because I know a lot of times I call in and I can hear just fine.
But how do you prove that? And that's what you're gonna have.
And that's the thing, because the issues could be on the user's end, so we can't. There's a lot of variables.
I was gonna say, first of all, encourage participation in person at meetings if somebody's interested in something, and I understand that's not always possible. But
I'll
we're
tell
just
you this.
encouraging it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, so the problem with that is, you know, when you say you encourage, two things popped up on me on that specific meeting, that I've served this town forever, longer than anybody here. And there was brand new news to me that evolved out of that meeting by sitting back and listening and not being able to comment. And frankly, wanting to throw my phone against the wall because I couldn't get over here. But one of them was the combined zoning and planning meeting, had nothing to do with the applicant. The combined zoning and planning meeting did not work for me. It was a comedy of errors for me listening. Who's on first? And the warned meeting was to review an applicant's application for a zoning board decision. So you had members of both boards speaking over each other and in between and upside down and everything else. And the second, which I don't think was very good, and I told Todd this, Todd Henninger, the morning after, because he chaired it. And he said that was the first time that that had happened, a joint meeting like that. But when you warn a hearing for a purpose, which was to grant something that the land use administrator could not, then that's a zoning meeting. Period.
Not true.
Well, that's what I think. So I'm gonna disagree with you a lot.
You can,
Well, here,
but
let me
statutorily, you're incorrect.
Well, let me keep finishing. I'm a resident of this town, participating, listening to the meeting, okay? So if a zoning board, which is separate and apart from the planning board, was warned by the land use administrator to make a decision, the planning board could have input, but they don't have a vote on that decision. The zoning board is the
So,
judicial board.
If I can, before we
Let's
get
let-
too far down the rabbit hole, and have misinformation presented at a meeting, based on bylaw that we've actually read out in the meeting.
Yes.
But let's, I hear exactly what Dave's saying, and the issue was participation, and we have had issues with participation, and we've had, more people come to the planning commission meetings, which has been good. So I think I will stay focused on that and not look at, the policy of what the actual bylaws are, because we have those written down, and
But we set the hearings in the town, the hearings are set by different boards for the purposes in which the applicants are asking for.
So Dave, if I can, just quickly, and I don't want to start an argument here, but from a PUD standpoint, the way the bylaws are written, the bylaws state for a PUD only, it's a joint meeting. It specifically says that in our bylaws. So that's another reason that's the first one that's ever been like that. We didn't just sit here and go, hey, let's try this. Both boards are voting participants in that hearing at that point, based on our bylaws. Do I agree with it? No, I'm with you on that. It's not very, it wasn't.
Does it say that you absolutely have to? No. I've read some of it. No, you don't have to do that. The planning board, in my view, becomes advisory in that, because you guys, again, were asking for something which I would have objected to when I was online, but I couldn't get through. News to me, and it's far over the red line for me, for the planning board's ability to be able to waive something which would grant a non-conforming lot. That's completely against whatever the lot size minimum is for the town.
But yeah, it's in a bylaw.
No.
It states that. It does.
Well, I understand the ability for boards or whatever to grant waivers, but where does it stop? Does it just say, well,
is not a waiver.
we don't care?
Anyways, so let's, my recommendation is not to get down that rabbit hole, and we can have this argument. back and
I
forth.
agree.
It's opinions, just like.
But you guys are sitting on the planning board, so you're enjoying what I'm
No.
seeing. I'm listening to the meeting as an observer and listening, I'm saying, this is just wrong, because I'm telling you right now, I never heard of such a thing in all my years of service, where you go through lots of detail about the planning board, goes through words, and then either the select board adopts these things or it goes to a town vote. But now there's something brand new that surfaces that says, well, the planning board can just waive something and make something
So,
happen.
let me point of order again, let's just not get down that rabbit hole. We're talking about whether we're gonna have the meetings online or not online. And we can take this up. You want-
I'm not changing the subject, you are. We're at this board, and this board right here,
I'm just telling you.
this board right here appoints the planning board
Make a
members.
motion.
For what?
Change, I don't know, you're the one that's complaining about it, change something.
Well, but I'm just saying that it's all news to me that the planning board is taking up something that's never really happened before in the
Right, a
town.
PUD, we've never done it before.
But it's.
No, it's some kind of a waiver that
Which
is.
is in the bylaws
which
saying
is-
you can do it, and we're not just willy-nilly deciding to do it, that's why we've gone through this process. Nobody's even granted anything yet.
Well, so that's my other point. So I was
There's not even a
listening,
decision.
this whole particular issue is premature. I'm listening and I read some of the documents in this specific case and it said, I wanted to do that, Paul. 50 acres of my farm flooded last night. I couldn't make this meeting. I sent a text to the chair, told him couldn't make the meeting. I expect my opinion to be relayed. Dave wanted to be here, but he can't. My farm's underwater. You want me to get hotter? I tried to do that meeting, and the technology here wouldn't let me 2 weeks before.
Right.
I called the chair of the zoning board and told him that. Here's the problem that I see. The applicant in this case, which I outlined to Todd, who is the chair of the zoning board, is working on information from even from a previous applicant 5 years earlier on the water and the zoning permits, which is really strange to me.
But again, Dave, you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Well,
But this is not for this board right now. This is a permit that is being handled by the appropriate committees, the zoning board, the ZBA, and the planning commission. And it's in a hearing. And I think it's actually probably kind of inappropriate for us to be even discussing it at this point in time here. We can have discussions about the bylaws and how we want them to be or changed. That conversation, if you disagree with those zoning bylaws, needs to happen at the planning commission.
No, I think Howard Beach made the most common sense statement I've heard in a few weeks, and he said if he wanted to go down that rabbit hole, to quote you, Paul, it would have been to rework these words so that the planning board doesn't have to make that waiver, consider the language, go down that road, take a few months to develop the language better in a PUD. I gotta tell you, PUDs were never contemplated for Zone 1, RR1 in this town. I was there when we implemented them. They were here for, and it is part of our job, Mike, and I'll tell you why. This select board appoints the planning board members and the zoning board members. We anticipate up at this board that those members will read our documents and act appropriately. And I don't think it's being followed. That's my point. I have a right to say that. So when
And
the
anybody
PUDs
else has a right to disagree with you.
But
The PUDs were set up in this town for people like me who had a block of 50 acres in a C10 zone and wanted to put 5 houses technically on that 50 acres, similar to the Cavendish Commons over on 131, whereby the applicant would then say, let me put my 5 houses on 20 acres instead, even in a C10 zone, and then the 30 acres would be permanently conserved. It was never contemplated to have a PUD develop in a RR1 zone.
But PUD language was never created. And the only PUD language that we have in our bylaws is the state language, which is what we are following.
Can I say one quick thing, and it's not about the process of that. I just want to say I do agree with Dave on a few things. One, we opened a hearing, and as a resident, Dave has 100% correct the right to participate and be part of that. He was not able to do that at that first meeting. The problem with opening a hearing and doing that is getting people sworn in. And then, yes, there was some issues last night, so Dave was not able to participate. I would love to have Dave be able to participate, and that's part of the issue of what we're talking about, of having stuff online. If somebody should be able to get online, be part of that meeting, and actually, be able to be part of the hearing. And Dave was not able to do that, and I don't know if there's any other residents that weren't able to do that, to be able to voice their opinion, because they're all valid.
The
all
hearing
opinions.
is still open.
Right, so, but again, Dave wasn't able to make it, so it's still open, and I would
The danger in this for me is, as a town, I'm very concerned, I've always been concerned for the town. If you see some waiver being granted by the planning board, in this case, and you see,
Can you tell me what the waiver is?
the waiver was to allow 3 buildings, excuse me, instead of 2.
It's not a waiver.
Well, it would have granted the opportunity for the applicant to do that.
It's the language of the bylaw. It's not a waiver.
Yeah, but that's what it would create.
Nope,
And-
it's just following the language.
Can I bring this back?
Well, but let me finish my thought, the danger in this from me, just from me, okay?
Sorry,
So when somebody else applies for something, we're gonna see a massive amount of PUDs being applied for instead of a single-family home then. Because a dwelling is a dwelling is a dwelling, and now all of a sudden, it's a dwelling with one roof, but it could be 3 separate deeded units with separate sewer systems and everything. That's, for me, for the town's thinking. Why wouldn't somebody say, who's maybe not even gonna live there, who'd say, I have a 3-acre lot now, I'm just gonna put like 5 units in that 1 3-acre lot? Because it's gonna be a practice where it's going to be allowed and could be viewed as, well, you allowed it that one time, why not me? That's for me, that's where going down the road, the danger is. Now, I agree completely with Howard, I really do. I'm not saying that this applicant shouldn't be heard or whatever. If you wanna go down that road, then adjust the PUD language so that it's all out in front and everybody can see it, and then either let the town vote on it or this board vote on it. So then all the little gray areas are gone in the language.
But back to the meetings being online, what do we feel?
I didn't even know the hearing was continued. I didn't know that until right now, you just said, last night.
Yeah, the hearing wasn't closed. The hearing was continued.
It wasn't?
No, it's still open. So,
The only letter that I saw was an email from Brandon. Did he copy all you guys when he said that they were gonna have the engineers look at to see whether or not they could get water or not?
we got,
That,
we did that.
yeah, that was, he sent a letter representing,
But again.
is it you representing the water district, sending a letter that has to be
that's all.
reevaluated?
Why this
Which is what you
concerns me is because we're about ready. It does matter, Paul, when you said we're in other places. It does matter to me because if you learn a statement from the town manager and the water district manager that there's a question about a potential applicant, then when we're getting ready to divert the remaining $300,000 of ARPA funds, that's a big deal to me as a board member. If I'm listening now to the town manager, who happens to be the water district manager, and an applicant who wants to build houses in town, and now that system is, and we're taking up the discussion about the remaining ARPA funds, about the water system, that's a factor to me. Because when we go over that list about what we're gonna be doing, that concerns me.
Right, so we've got slated more money for the water district.
No, we have the $300,000 ARPA funds left to be determined to what to do with.
Right,
But if
so,
we're hearing
but there's
that now
water
they
issues.
may, yes, so,
Well, we've known there's water issues in town.
well, now, we
And this
currently,
isn't, and I wanna remind everybody too, this isn't town water.
oh, I know, but it's 200 or 300 residents.
And Paul,
Yeah.
we currently have an application out there for $1.2 million to improve the water system.
Right,
We have a meeting on July 27th in Montpelier with A&R that we're going to be attending. And then the Healthy Homes Initiative just came out and that's up to $1.2 million. And we're currently preparing an application for that.
and
Um,
I'm
so
not
there's two-
against what you're saying, Dave, from
Two
that,
grants.
so. I think you have a lot of great points on that, and I'm sorry that you weren't able to be here, but I'll continue that. I just didn't wanna get down that rabbit hole too much here, that's what I meant by rabbit hole. here,
And
For now,
PUD.
Cause there is an open hearing, that's all.
And PUD language actually did come up in the planning commission portion of the meeting after the hearing. It's on our schedule to be working on that language because PUDs never happened and and there was never any local language created for us to follow. We have no clue what we're doing, Dave.
Well, but I recall when it was being drafted, so my only closing thought would be, if it was contemplated under the structure which I just said, about a 50-acre lot, then that would say, that's exactly why I made the comment to the applicant when they came in on that one time, and they brought it before the select board to say, what do you think? Was this, I hope you own 3 or 4 or 5 acre, 1 acre lots contiguous to each other, because then you could have what I just said, which was that picture, about putting your 3 houses on 1 acre, leaving the other 2 for common. I remember saying that right out loud in the meeting.
And I agree with that thinking, but that isn't what the language is in our current bylaws. And we have an application, which means we have to apply the current bylaws. We have to live by what's there.
Well, isn't that the zoning board's job?
It's both in this case, because it's PUD. It's the planning commission and the.
So how
that's-
many votes will there be taken in the end for
Well,
the?
the planning commission will vote on their portion, and the zoning board will vote on 2 separate issues.
So which one counts and which one doesn't?
They all count.
They'll count.
They all
He
matter.
needs a positive on both to go forward.
But what-
Both boards have to be
But
in
one,
agreement.
one must be, it's like when you go to the land use administrator and you want a deck on your house. He has the ability to say yes or no. Who is the final authority? The zoning board?
Yes, because they'll be doing the conditional use review following the planning commission's decision on the subdivision, which is basically not really a subdivision, but that's what a PUD is. It goes through the subdivision process.
The
So as defined by
only thing
statute.
that I know is this, though, and from other experience, was that the planning board develops a language and they bring it before either the voters or the board to adopt. Then I understand what you're talking about involving only in a PUD. And then the zoning board interprets that language to
Right.
provide the yes or no for the conditional use permits.
But I want to say this. It seems that there's a concern, and you're not the only one. I think Howard, when you mentioned Howard and the point that he made, and your agreement to that, and I think you're agreeing with him as well. And I think I'm almost there in agreement as well. But right now, we have an application, and we do have a set of well, they're mainly state standards, but it's in the bylaws, and we have to live with what's there. Now, in the instance that we see an influx, Dave, that is the concern that I think we all share, because you don't want to see something take off and turn into a wildfire that's bad for the town. I couldn't agree more. I've already talked with Brandon about this. We have the interim bylaw part of the statute, which allows us to act very, very quickly to stop something when it goes awry. We can get that right through look that up in statute. That comes right through the select board as an interim bylaw. It's in place for 2 years. We've done them before, and we can if we see a problem coming, we can stop that really quickly. So I don't want to get. I don't want to, toss out your.
The only 2 things that I would close on would be the communication, and I would not, for me, and I'm a person listening online or whatever, and even, I don't know how it would affect anybody in the meeting to have these joint meetings. It's too bad they're not separate. I don't think that would be too much to ask.
And I think we could research that and make a decision on our own whether to go, between those 2 boards, which way is the best to go there.
Can I add one quick thing? I really do want to capture the stuff you've said, and I understand that you've got a lot going on right now. I don't know if you'll be able to make the meeting, but if not, I want to capture that because I'd like to enter that stuff, because I think you've got a lot of valid points that back up Howard and some others, and I want to capture that. I don't want to.
I think what he's saying is, can you get it to us in writing if you're
probably.
not going to be able to make it?
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to put more effort on you, but if you could, I'd be glad to put that into the minutes, because I think it's valid, and you're right, you have a lot of good stuff.
When is the continuation? Did you set a date?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's the next meeting.
Next meeting, which is what is that, next month, not
What was the date? The 10th? Add 14? 24th? 24th.
24th, yeah, so,
Of this month?
yeah, 24th.
I'm gonna be, I don't know if I'll put it in writing. I got a Ben Fuller announcement.
Oh, okay. That's okay, but that's good.
Lisa, you had your hand up?
That was my same question. I had to leave early last
Oh,
night, so I didn't
okay.
hear the date.
Yeah, the 24th, yeah,
Oh, thank you.
and again, I apologize, but you have a lot of valid points, we need to capture that. It is frustrating, it's frustrating for all of us.
Is there any,
It's really frustrating for the boards because we've
Yeah.
never been through it. We don't have any real guidance and we're kind of thrashing our way through it, so.
Absolutely,
are we still under any other business?
yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we haven't decided.
Is
yet.
your mother online? She
I don't wanna bring it up, she's naughty, she's not here apparently.
She's not online?
No, I'll update her though.
I do have a Ben Fuller announcement.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
He just got told yesterday or the day before, because he texted me, that he is going to make his Grand Ole Opry center stage debut on July 28th,
Congratulations.
Wow.
Awesome.
7 o'clock.
The
That
Grand
means
Ole
you're
Opry.
going?
That's
I
like,
told him I was going if I could walk. No, I did say that. I texted him back. I said, I'll be there if I have to walk. Yes, we're flying there.
that's like a piece of American history.
No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
you have to be nominated. You can't.
No,
you
you're
can't get
invited
that
to
done.
that. No,
Yes.
yeah.
No, you have to be nominated by a member,
Yeah.
and there are not very many members, like 100 or something.
Yeah. They didn't nominate me. I don't know why.
I wonder why.
No, congratulations, Dave, that's great news. Will be on TV?
I'm
Can we
updating
watch?
her now.
Yeah, they'll film it. I think it'll all be filmed because whoever nominated him has to present or whatever. I'm sure that it's all kind of nervous. Yeah.
No, great, that's
It's,
awesome.
Okay,
it's
so-
exactly the wooden circle that was in the original Opry. I mean, he's gonna stand where Elvis and Johnny Cash and, yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
That is kinda cool.
So, Brendan, I don't know, Ray isn't here. Maybe you can give us some sort of update on the conditions in town?
I already did that under my town manager report.
Everything's looking pretty good and,
Yep, everything seems to be going well, and we've documented everything, and we'll be submitting our reimbursement request soon.
we getting, any calls into the town for help of any kind?
I reached out to our town managers and select board chairs in our surrounding areas, and nobody's really, Springfield's covering Cavendish. I know Scottney Fire was helping Ludlow with Londonderry. West Windsor helped us, but there hasn't been too much of that.
Something that perhaps we can add to the list, this will be for a discussion with the board when we get there, the ARPA list
Yep,
would be, perhaps, some grants to help anybody that was hit hard by this thing. You know, whether,
Talked about that last night.
yeah,
I have one more, so I wrote down this number. So the town doesn't usually get involved with farms or whatever, but there's a lot of flood now. There's a big mess, and the hay's all laid down. It's a big mess. So I was on the phone with Farm Service Agency today in White River Junction, and the girl up there said, and I told her I had this meeting tonight, so if anybody had any field issues, to call their office, 802, and you probably can take this number down, put it on the town website or whatever, 295-7942. That's, and then you, the dial will be push 2 for the button. That'll be the Farm Service Agency. There, of course, this is all pretty early statewide, but either the state or the federal government is gonna come in, because I heard the governor's press conference said that the president had already determined Vermont, all 12 counties were a disaster area. That's the first step to recovery funds.
okay.
So that's, they're gonna have something.
pictures.
So, yep,
Get
pictures.
pictures, get
Well,
pictures.
actually, she told me today, so I told her that there's a lot of, Upper Falls was covered with 6 feet of water. That's never happened before. That didn't happen in Irene. The whole thing was an ocean, 40-acre field. So now it's leaving residue, some trees, you can imagine, a bunch of stuff. So I said, so some of it I could pick up by hand. I mean, it's not like, although there were some 20-inch full trees with leaves. It's pretty crazy. It's like Jurassic Park. But she told me, no, do not go down there and start picking stuff up. We need to come down. We're coming down early next week, and we need to be on the ground. So
Okay.
it's not gonna be a matter of you can't go out and start or whatever, so. There'll be she thinks there won't be any money for damage of the crop. There'd be money for reclamation of the field, like picking up trash or something, like, in trash, I mean trees and stuff. There's a lot of sand that's washed.
I was gonna ask, does
A lot.
does that flooding affect the fact that you might not be able to grow there for a while? Or-
No, well, it's all dirt all over it. When I drove up 106 back and forth a few times last night, this has never happened. In Irene, it did not happen. The water from the Black River went all the way over to Upper Falls below the Jeff Whittemore's house on that low spot. That did not happen. So it went to the top of Whittemore's fields. That did not happen. But it did now. And then worked its way down. So it covered 50 acres, and more than that. So it leaves, all you could smell on 106 when you drove up down there was dirt. Like in the water, just dirt in the air because of the low pressure from the water. And you know, you can't do anything in the river. They won't let you do anything in the water. So you'll be able to reclaim the fields. I would have had to have crop insurance to cover the crop. There's always a deductible and a cost. I just did not do that this year. And then I planted the corn, but I didn't put any on that, so. But there'll be some programs. It has to evolve. There's a lot, big farms up in Richmond is totally underwater, up that way. I don't even think you can get to Milton Cat. Yep. Yep.
Here in Montpelier?
No, they're in Richmond. The whole,
Yeah.
it was so funny, cause I saw the parking lot where the park and ride is there before you get on the road. No, the cars are halfway up in water. Brand new cars.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're not gonna work.
But,
Anyway, that number is the Farm Service Agency, so if somebody has a field issue, there may be farmers up above now where the Ascutney Basin Bridge was, there are a lot of fields up through there. I bet they closed 106, so I don't think you can get up there now. The fire department's there now. But when I left for this meeting, the west side was on 106. So, see, what they've done is, they've closed the government dam in Springfield. So if you drive across Stoughton Pond right now, you can just throw a rock and hit the water. It's that high up.
Mm-hmm.
And so both sides have leveled off.
At Stoughton Pond?
Yep.
I didn't think that one had a
No,
shot.
it doesn't have a gate, but the main Springfield is closed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the whole thing is backed up.
Oh, yeah.
So that comes up to the south side of the Stoughton Pond. The north, which is fed by the Black River, and the north side is fed by the Branch Brook.
Right.
So when those things even out, what happens is it starts backing up on Upper Falls again because you've shut off the ability for it to escape.
Yep.
Same with Stoughton Pond, when the thing levels off, you've shut off the Branch Brook.
Yep.
So I'm having a sense right now that there's water up on 106 again.
Is this because of dams that are further down in the state that are issues?
I don't know.
Townsend and.
It wouldn't surprise me whether we have water over Amundsen Schoolhouse Road either by the transfer station.
Townsend and Ball Mountain Dam were supposed to, breach at 6 o'clock this morning and they didn't. I have family down there that are all flooded out, so that's the only reason why I know. I've been keeping track of them. But, they're all on little, what we call little islands, cause all the towns are all blocked.
Well, and they were
What was-
talking about opening them too, yeah, I think.
The dams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are gonna do it
Yeah.
slowly, but they haven't yet, because somebody, before I came to the meeting, a half an hour, they said that it was 74 feet at the North Springfield Lake, and it was still rising.
Wow, that's up there,
It's up there.
yeah.
You oughta
So
see
when
the
you come down
trash.
off the hill from about, like my brother's house, Roberts,
Roberts.
Timmy Roberts, come down, you should be able to see a lake out through there.
Pretty much.
Seen it before, winter, in the fall, in the
There's a
spring.
lot of trash too, a really lot, because
Yeah.
now it's floating. Before it was rushing, now it's not rushing anymore because it's backed up at the dam. And now it's going like this.
So there's two people in this room that need to be told no kayaking.
I'm gonna tell you a story
In
after
the
the meeting's
rapids.
over. Not a good story.
I'm giving you a scowl in the corner.
Who's kayaking?
Oh, nobody. Just somebody I know is kayaking and
I don't wanna kayak in
Most
that
of
dirty
the-
water.
Second.
Adjourn. Move to adjourn.
No, I'm here for
Oh.
a reason.
Oh,
okay.
Other business, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Comments from citizens?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not really comments from citizens, but other
You
business.
said comments from citizens wasn't on the agenda, so it would be under other business.
Okay.
But it is other business, so it qualifies for both.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask the select board to put the Martin Memorial Hall trustees on the agenda for your August 21st meeting, assuming you're gonna meet the third week in August, because I'd like to participate in that, and I'm not in town the first meeting of August.
You okay with that?
What date was that again?
August 21st.
Yep, that'll work.
She said that's the third week, second meeting in August. I'm okay with that. He's okay with it. That it? Okay, motion to adjourn is on the table. Been
Second.
seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.